You know that person at work, the one who complains about everything, the one who makes every meeting unbearable, the one who somehow finds a way to make your good day terrible. Marcus Aurelius dealt with people like this every single day. And I'm not talking about difficult co-workers or annoying relatives. I'm talking about senators who wanted him dead, generals plotting against him, advisors lying to his face, and yet he remained calm, focused, unshakable. I've spent the last decade studying Stoic philosophy and writing about it. I've written multiple best-selling books on Stoicism and self-improvement. But honestly, the real test of this philosophy isn't in writing about it. It's in living it. And one of the hardest tests? Dealing with difficult people without losing your mind, without compromising who you are, without letting them steal your peace. In this video, I want to share 8 Stoic strategies for handling difficult people. Strategies that Marcus Aurelius used 2,000 years ago. Strategies that work just as well today, whether you're dealing with a toxic boss, a manipulative family member, or that one person who just drains all your energy. Let's begin. The first thing the Stoics teach us is to expect it. And I know this sounds pessimistic, but hear me out. Every single morning, Marcus Aurelius would sit down and prepare himself mentally for the day ahead. And this is what he would say to himself. He writes in Meditations, "When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly." Now, this wasn't Marcus being negative. This was Marcus being realistic. He knew that if he expected everyone to be kind, rational, and reasonable, he would spend his entire day disappointed. So instead, he prepared himself for reality. Think about the last time someone was rude to you, or cut you off in traffic, or sent you a passive-aggressive email. Were you shocked? Were you derailed for the rest of the day? That's because you weren't prepared for it mentally. This reminds me of emergency room doctors. They don't walk into the ER hoping for a quiet shift. They expect chaos. They expect blood. They expect screaming patients and impossible situations. And because they expect it, they're not surprised when it happens. They're ready. Or think about teachers. The best teachers don't expect a classroom full of perfectly behaved students. They expect noise. They expect disruptions. They expect that one kid who's going to test every boundary. And because they prepare for it, they handle it calmly. So here's what you do. Tomorrow morning, before you check your phone, before you look at your email, take 30 seconds. Say to yourself, today, I'm going to encounter difficult people, and I'm going to remain calm. That's it. Just that mental preparation. And when the difficult person shows up, and they will, you won't be caught off guard. You'll be ready. The second thing the Stoics teach us is radical empathy. And Marcus had a really powerful insight about this. He said that people don't behave badly because they're evil. They behave badly because they're confused. They can't tell good from evil. They're suffering, and they don't know any better. Marcus writes, "When people injure you, ask yourself what good or evil they thought would come from it. If you understand that, you'll feel sympathy rather than outrage or anger." Now, I'll be honest, this is hard. When someone is rude to you, when someone undermines you at work, when someone betrays your trust, your first instinct isn't sympathy. Your first instinct is anger, revenge, resentment. But the Stoics understood something profound. Hurt people hurt people. When someone lashes out at you, it's usually not about you. It's about their pain, their fear, their insecurity. I think about parents who understand this intuitively. When a 2-year-old throws a tantrum in the grocery store, good parents don't take it personally. They don't think, "This child hates me." They understand. The kid is tired. The kid is hungry. The kid is overwhelmed. Or think about therapists. When a patient comes in and is hostile or defensive, good therapists don't get offended. They see the pain underneath. They see the fear. They see someone who's been hurt before and is protecting themselves. So here's what you do. The next time someone is difficult with you, pause, take a breath, and ask yourself, what are they afraid of? What pain are they carrying? You don't have to fix them. You don't even have to like them. But if you can understand them, your anger dissolves, and you stay calm. The third Stoic strategy is the cornerstone of the entire philosophy. Control what you control. Epictetus, who was a slave before he became one of the great Stoic teachers, he said, "Some things are within our control, and some things are not." And then he says something even more important. He says, "Work therefore to distinguish between them." You cannot control how someone else behaves. You can't control their tone, their mood, their agenda, their manipulation. But you can control your response. Marcus writes in Meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." I think about athletes all the time with this. The basketball player can't control a bad call from the referee, but they can control whether they argue about it for 5 minutes or whether they refocus on the next play. Or think about employees dealing with a difficult boss. You can't control your boss's mood swings. You can't control their unreasonable demands. But you can control your professionalism. You can control whether you let their bad day ruin your day. Or parents dealing with a difficult ex-spouse. You can't control how your ex behaves at pickup and drop-off. But you can control whether you engage in the drama or whether you stay calm and focused on your kids. So here's what you do. When you're dealing with a difficult person, mentally draw a line. On one side, things I control. On the other side, things I don't control. You control your breath, your tone, your choice to walk away or stay engaged. You control how much energy you give this. Focus there. Let go of the rest. The fourth strategy is something Seneca warned about constantly. Don't match their energy. Seneca says, "The greatest remedy for anger is delay." When someone comes at you with aggression, with hostility, with chaos, every instinct in your body wants to match it, to fight fire with fire. But the Stoics knew that just creates more fire. Marcus writes, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." When someone is loud, be quiet. When they're angry, be calm. When they're chaotic, be steady. This isn't about being passive. This is about being strategic. Think about hostage negotiators. When someone is screaming and irrational, negotiators don't scream back. They lower their voice. They slow down. They stay calm. And often, that calm de-escalates the entire situation. Or think about parents again. When a kid is having a meltdown, yelling back doesn't help. Staying calm, speaking softly, that's what brings the temperature down. I remember Winston Churchill's wife, Clementine. Churchill was emotional, erratic, prone to fits of anger and depression. And Clementine was his ballast. When he raged, she stayed steady. When he panicked, she remained calm, and that calm saved him from countless reckless decisions during World War II. So here's what you do. The next time someone escalates with you, do the opposite. Lower your voice, slow your breathing. Pause before you respond. Your calm will either de-escalate them or it will protect your peace. Either way, you win. The fifth strategy is about boundaries. And the Stoics were very clear about this. You can set boundaries without anger. Marcus had to fire advisors. Epictetus had to dismiss students. Seneca had to end toxic relationships. But they did it without rage, without drama, just clarity. Marcus writes, "Reject your sense of injury, and the injury itself disappears." Now, this doesn't mean you're a doormat. It doesn't mean you let people walk all over you. It means you can say no. You can walk away. You can end relationships. But you do it calmly, firmly, without making them the villain. Think about managers who have to fire someone. Good managers don't do it in anger. They do it professionally, respectfully. They protect the organization, but they don't burn bridges unnecessarily. Or think about friends who end toxic friendships. The best way to do it isn't with a big dramatic confrontation. It's with quiet distance, with a calm explanation, with kindness even. Ruth Bader Ginsburg's mother-in-law gave her advice on her wedding day that shaped her 56-year marriage and her entire career on the Supreme Court. She said, "In a marriage, it helps to be a little deaf." Meaning, sometimes you just let things go. You pretend not to hear certain things, but there's a flip side to that. Sometimes you need to hear things very clearly, and you need to say clearly, "This doesn't work for me." And then you set the boundary. So here's what you do. Identify the difficult person in your life. What boundary do you need? Maybe it's limiting contact. Maybe it's ending the relationship entirely. Whatever it is, set it. Clearly, calmly. You don't owe them anger, just honesty. The sixth strategy is something Marcus Aurelius practiced every day. Focus on your character, not theirs. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react that matters." When someone treats you poorly, you have a choice. You can obsess over their bad behavior, or you can focus on your good response. Marcus writes, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." The Stoics cared more about who they were becoming than who other people were being. And I think this is so important, because you can spend all day analyzing someone else's flaws. You can vent about them. You can gossip about them. But none of that makes you better. Think about professionals who don't gossip about difficult coworkers. They focus on their own work, their own integrity, because that's what they control. Or think about students with unfair teachers. The best students don't complain endlessly. They focus on learning, on their own growth. Cato the Younger, one of the great Stoics, had a brother who was nothing like him. Cato was disciplined, austere, committed to virtue. His brother was much more of a typical Roman, indulgent, reckless. But Cato loved his brother unconditionally. He didn't spend his time trying to change his brother. He focused on being the best version of himself. So here's what you do. Stop analyzing their flaws. Stop venting endlessly about their behavior. Instead, ask yourself, how do I want to show up in this situation? What kind of person do I want to be? Then be that person, regardless of what they do. The seventh strategy is one of my favorites. Use them as a teacher. Marcus Aurelius believed that difficult people were gifts, not in spite of their difficulty, but because of it. He writes in Meditations, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Difficult people teach you patience, resilience, self-control, forgiveness, compassion. They're your training ground for virtue. Think about boxers who thank their toughest opponents. The opponent who pushes you to your limit is the one who makes you better. Or musicians who appreciate harsh critics. The critic who points out every flaw forces you to improve. Or entrepreneurs dealing with difficult customers. The demanding customer teaches you how to serve better, how to communicate better, how to solve problems. Pericles, during the Peloponnesian War, had his wife as one of his primary advisors. And she wasn't someone who just agreed with everything he said. She challenged him. She called him out. She made him think harder. And that made him a better leader. So here's what you do. When someone is difficult, ask yourself, what is this person teaching me? Am I learning patience, boundaries, how to stay calm under pressure? Thank them silently for the lesson and grow from it. The eighth and final strategy is forgiveness, but not for them, for you. Seneca said, "The best way to avenge yourself is to not be like that." Holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. Forgiveness isn't about excusing their behavior. It's about freeing yourself from the weight of carrying it. Marcus writes, "How much more grievous are the consequences of anger than the causes of it?" When you forgive, you're not saying what they did was okay. You're saying, I'm not carrying this anymore. I'm not letting this consume me. I'm choosing peace. Think about people who've been betrayed, hurt deeply, wronged in profound ways. The ones who stay bitter and angry for years. They're still imprisoned by what happened. But the ones who forgive and move forward, they're free. Musonius Rufus, another Stoic, talked about loving people in sickness and in health, under all conditions. And he held up the relationship between Brutus and Portia, two Stoics who stuck together through incredible adversity. They didn't give up on each other when things got hard. They loved unconditionally. And I think this applies not just to marriages or romantic relationships, but to how we handle difficult people in general. Sometimes forgiveness is the most powerful thing you can do, not because they deserve it, but because you deserve peace. So here's what you do. Think of someone who hurt you, someone difficult, someone who wronged you. Say out loud or just in your mind, I forgive you, I release you, I choose peace. You don't have to tell them. You don't have to reconcile. Just let it go. For you. So let me leave you with this. 8 Stoic strategies for handling difficult people. Expect them. Understand their suffering. Control what you control. Don't match their energy. Set boundaries without anger. Focus on your character. Use them as teachers. And forgive them for your own peace. Do these things, and difficult people lose their power over you. They won't ruin your day. They won't steal your peace. They won't control your emotions, because you'll be too strong, too calm, too stoic. If you want more Stoic wisdom for handling life's challenges, subscribe to this channel. I post new videos every week breaking down ancient philosophy for modern life. And drop a comment below. Which of these strategies resonates most with you? Which one are you going to try first? Thanks for watching.